The lantern in the woods. Maya stood by the window, her breath fogging up the glass as she peered into the thick, misty forest beyond. The night had settled in, casting an eerie glow through the towering trees. The forest had always been a place of both mystery and fear for Maya, but tonight, there was something different about it. The silence was unnerving, the stillness unsettling, as if the entire forest was holding its breath. She clutched the small lantern beside her, its warm light flickering softly, casting strange shadows on the walls. Tommy, her younger brother, wandered into the room, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "Maya, why are you still awake? You should be in bed." Maya glanced at him briefly before turning her attention back to the woods. "I can't sleep, Tommy. Something's out there. Look." Tommy walked over to the window and pressed his face against the glass. "I don't see anything, Maya. It's just the forest." She pointed toward a faint light moving through the trees. "That light? It's been out there for a while now, moving deeper into the woods." Tommy squinted, trying to make out what she was talking about. "Maybe it's just the moon or fireflies." Maya shook her head. "No, Tommy. It's something else. I can feel it. I'm going to check it out." Tommy grabbed her arm, his small hand trembling. "No, Maya. You can't go out there. It's dangerous. What if you get lost?" Maya knelt down in front of him, her face softening. "Tommy, I have to know what it is. I won't go far, I promise. You stay here and lock the door behind me. I'll be back before you know it." Tommy looked up at her with wide, worried eyes but eventually nodded. "Okay, but you have to come back soon. Promise me." "I promise," Maya said, giving him a quick hug. "Keep watch by the window, and I'll wave when I'm on my way back." Reluctantly, Tommy let go of her arm. Maya grabbed her lantern and stepped out into the night, the cold air hitting her as she closed the door behind her. The forest loomed ahead, dark and foreboding, but she pushed her fear aside and followed the faint light that continued to move through the trees. The path was narrow and twisted, with the trees towering above her like silent sentinels. The light ahead of her was strange, not like the light of a lantern or torch, but something softer, more ethereal. It seemed to pulse and shimmer, moving deeper into the forest with an almost purposeful intent. As she walked, Maya felt a deep, gnawing emptiness in her chest, a void she had lived with for as long as she could remember. She and Tommy had been in this forest for what felt like an eternity, abandoned by someone they couldn't recall. They had no memory of how they got there, no memory of their life before. It was as if their past had been swallowed by the forest itself, leaving them alone in the world with only each other. The light flickered and drifted farther ahead, and Maya quickened her pace. The night sounds of the forest surrounded her, the rustling of leaves, the distant call of an owl, but there was something else as well. A faint whispering, barely audible, like voices carried on the wind. The further she went, the louder it became, though she still couldn't make out what was being said. Finally, the light led her to a small clearing deep within the woods. In the center stood an old, crumbling stone well, ancient and covered in moss. The light hovered above it, casting a soft glow on the surrounding trees. Maya approached cautiously, holding her lantern high. As she drew nearer, the light dipped low, illuminating the well's interior. Maya peered inside, expecting to see only darkness, but instead, she saw a reflection in the water. It was her own face staring back at her, but there was something different about it, something unsettling. The eyes of the reflection were deep and knowing, as if they had seen things she couldn't even begin to comprehend. The reflection smiled at her, a slow, haunting smile that sent a shiver down her spine. What are you?" Maya whispered, her voice trembling. The reflection didn't answer, but its eyes seemed to draw her in, holding her gaze captive. Then, as she stared into the water, the whispering grew louder, and the light above the well began to pulse in time with her heartbeat. Suddenly, the world around her faded away, and Maya was plunged into a series of visions. She saw herself standing in a vast, empty void, surrounded by countless flickering lights, each one a memory of a life she had lived before. The visions shifted and swirled around her. Images of her past lives, from different times and places, flashed before her eyes. She saw herself as a warrior, a healer, a scholar, and more, each life with its own joys and sorrows, victories and defeats. But in each life, there was one common thread: the light. It had been with her in every incarnation, guiding her, protecting her, showing her the way. It was a bridge between worlds, a connection to something greater than herself. As the visions continued, one figure stood out from the others, a version of herself from a past life, wearing robes of deep blue, her hair braided just like Maya's. This version of herself spoke, her voice clear and strong, cutting through the cacophony of whispers. "You have lived many lives, Maya," the figure said. "Each one a step along the path that has brought you here, to this moment. The light is a guide, a beacon from the in-between, the place where all your lives converge. It has led you here to remind you of your true purpose." Maya's heart pounded in her chest as she listened, the weight of the truth pressing down on her. "What is my purpose?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The figure smiled gently. "You are a keeper of memories, Maya. Your soul carries the history of all your lives, and it is your destiny to protect the light, the bridge between worlds. You must ensure that the light never fades, that the connection between the realms remains strong. The light has chosen you to be its guardian in this life, as it has in others. Your past lives have been preparing you for this moment, for the challenges ahead." Maya stared at the figure, her mind reeling. "But, why me? I don't even remember my past lives. How am I supposed to protect something so important?" "You will remember in time," the figure reassured her. "The memories will return when you need them. You are not alone in this, Maya. The light will guide you, as it always has. Trust in yourself, in your soul's journey. You are stronger than you know." The visions began to fade, and Maya felt herself being pulled back to the present. The figure's voice lingered in her mind, echoing softly as the clearing reappeared around her. The light above the well flickered gently, as if acknowledging her new understanding. Maya stood there, her breath coming in shallow gasps, her heart still racing. She had never imagined that her life, her very soul, was tied to something so vast and ancient. The weight of her destiny pressed down on her, but alongside it was a sense of resolve, a determination to embrace her purpose. She looked down at the well, where the reflection of her past self had vanished, leaving only the still surface of the water. The light floated back up from the well, hovering in front of her as if waiting for her next move. With a deep breath, Maya reached out and touched the light. It was warm, comforting, and as her fingers brushed against it, she felt a surge of energy, a connection to something greater than herself. The whispering returned, softer this time, almost like a song, filling her with a sense of peace. "I understand now," Maya said softly, her voice steady. "I'll protect the light. I won't let it fade." The light pulsed in response, then slowly began to drift back through the trees, leading her back the way she had come. Maya followed, her steps sure and confident, the knowledge of her past lives and her purpose settling into her mind like an old, familiar friend. The forest no longer seemed dark and foreboding. It was alive with the energy of the in-between worlds, the connection between the realms pulsing through the trees, the earth, the very air she breathed. She could feel it all around her, guiding her, supporting her. When Maya finally emerged from the forest, the first light of dawn was beginning to break over the horizon. She paused at the edge of the trees, looking back at the woods one last time. The light hovered there, just inside the tree line, waiting patiently. Maya gave a small nod, acknowledging the bond she now shared with the light and the destiny she had embraced. She then turned and walked back to the house, her heart lighter, her mind clear. As she approached, she saw Tommy standing at the window, his face pressed against the glass, just as it had been earlier. When he saw her, his eyes widened in relief, and he ran to the door, flinging it open. "Maya! You're back!" he cried, throwing his arms around her. "I told you I'd be back," she said, hugging him tightly. "Everything's okay, Tommy. I promise." Tommy pulled back, his eyes searching her face. "What happened out there? Did you find the light?" Maya smiled, a soft, mysterious smile. "Yes, I found it. And it showed me something important. But I'll tell you about it later. Right now, let's go inside. It's almost morning, and we should get some sleep." Tommy nodded, taking her hand as they walked back into the house. Maya glanced back one last time at the forest, where the light had disappeared into the trees. She knew now that the light was more than just a guide, it was a part of her, of all her lives, and it would always be there, waiting for her when she needed it. As they settled back into the small house, Maya felt a sense of peace she hadn't known before. The future was uncertain, her destiny still unfolding, but she was no longer afraid. She had the light, the knowledge of her past, and the strength of all the lives she had lived. And whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew she would face them with courage, with the memory of all she had been, and the light of the in-between worlds shining brightly within her.